So your team understands your risks, they're written down, and the team agrees on their likelihood and consequence. As some of my southern friends would say, now we're cooking with grease. So let's learn how to manage these risks to increase our project success. As a refresher, we have our risk matrix with the two components to risk: likelihood, the chances that this something will happen, and consequence, how bad will it hurt if this something happened. We've kept the axis labels very generic, but your team will need specific operational definitions so each team member can understand and agree with the assessment of each risk and its corresponding location on the risk matrix. These definitions would put in context what high, medium, and low consequence and likelihood actually mean to this team. So these will give us our zones: the high risk zone in red, low risk in green, and moderate risk in yellow. This is a way for us to know which risk to focus our mitigation effort on. I think it's safe to say that we are the most concerned about the red zone risks, but not all risks in this zone look alike. In order to demonstrate the differences between risks in the extremes of the red zone, let's go through a few examples. We all have a tub or shower stall that gets wet and soapy when we use it. That's kind of the point of a shower, right? Since it's always slippery, that's a high likelihood of slippery conditions. And we know that if we fall, we could get hurt and really embarrassed. So we put this risk down as high likelihood and high consequence, which is the top right corner of the risk matrix. On the bottom right corner is another example. So the lights are turned out. You're alone in the dark. You get the eerie feeling that someone or something is lurking around in the dark, waiting to scare the living daylights out of you. This example might just be a childhood memory, but you can see that while things like this are low likelihood, the consequence is so bone-chilling we can't dismiss it. Our third example is in the top left corner. Lots of great storytelling at the family dinner table, and whoops, there goes the glass of milk. We get upset when it lands on our clothes, but we aren't going to get too weepy over it. But then we think about how often this happens, and that makes us start to notice a trend. These are high likelihood events, but with mild consequences. Now we all understand how these risks got to where they are on the risk matrix, and now we can start thinking about performing risk management. To do this, a team determines the actions, if any, they will take to mitigate their risks. So what could we do about our perilous journey to the shower each morning? Are there ways to lessen the severity of a fall in the shower? Let's think about some ideas. We could remove all sharp edges from the shower so your head is less likely to hit one of them. We could install some rubber padding on the locations where a fall is likely. We could wear a helmet in the shower. These ideas might sound ridiculous, but you can agree that all of these things would lessen the consequence of falling in the shower. They don't decrease the likelihood of the fall occurring, just decreases how much it hurts. So could we lessen the likelihood of slipping in the shower? Let's think through some ideas. How about installing some non-slip coating to the shower floor? Or wearing some grippy shower shoes? Or we could develop a process for showering that reduces exposure to any angle that would cause us to fall. All of these ideas are focused on reducing the likelihood of slippery conditions causing you to fall, not reducing the consequences of falling in the shower. So what do we do with these ideas? How do we choose? Well, we could do both. That would reduce our high likelihood, high consequence showering experience from the high risk red zone to the not really going to worry about it green zone. That would give us a fully equipped showering experience like this guy has. You think it's a little over the top, huh? It may be, but even so, if this guy took these actions, he would reduce the likelihood of falling by wearing his grippy shoes and reduce his consequence of falling with his helmet and floaties. But the final decision is up to the team. You have to decide what's best for the project. So will you choose grippy shoes or a shower helmet or brave the shower without any of these ideas? Some decisions now have to be made. We have to weigh the risk mitigation efforts we can afford with the needs of the project overall. In our example, we could afford both a helmet and grippy shoes, but unfortunately that hindered our goal of a shower to get clean. And now our balance is way out of whack and people might start looking at us funny if we smell. These situations can occur with anything if the group is too risk-averse or too risk-seeking. Too risk-averse, and this guy would get some serious body odor from all the armor he has to wear. Or he'd have to find another cleaning method altogether, which would make us go back to the consequence-reducing ideas we talked about earlier. If the group is too risk-seeking, an embarrassing injury might occur, and you'd hate to have to tell your boss why you can't get to work today. So this is risk management. We see the activity through the lens of likelihood and consequence, and then make a decision. Will we implement changes that reduce likelihood, consequence, or both? The actions we decide to take, or consciously not take, are risk mitigation techniques, which help us manage our risk. If we're working on a project to build a house, the first phase is to clear and prepare the land. So let's think about what could go wrong in clearing that land. You come out to see how the work is going, and there's a tree still standing that was supposed to be removed, and the contractor's nowhere to be found. This is going to cause extra work on your project to get the contractor back out there to remove the tree, and it might delay your schedule because you can't do the things you had planned to do with that tree there. The extra work and the scheduled delay are consequences. But what's the likelihood of this happening? Is it a slippery shower or a monster under the bed? Next, as you're standing next to the tree that was supposed to be down, you notice a gopher hole that's been burrowed into the ground right where your plumbing and electrical lines are. You start shaking your fist and saying, "Well, I oughta." But thankfully, a coworker holds you back from making a scene where that devilish little gopher would have surely gotten the last laugh. Is this a likely event? What are the impacts to schedule, cost, or quality of your house building project? These types of things happen. It's just life. The idea behind risk management is to take the time to think about those things that could impact your project and decide to take action to mitigate them or not. So now that we've done our risk mitigation to be ready if the annoying gophers and the forgetful tree service interrupt our work, and now in the midst of our project work, some protesters show up who don't like the location of your house or the methods you're using to build the structure. Would this have a consequence to the schedule, cost, or quality of the work? You didn't see this coming, so how do you manage it? So have you ever had an unplanned event in your project? Silly question, I know. It doesn't matter if you believe in acts of God, karma, or Murphy's Law. You know that things happen that we didn't expect, no matter how heroic our efforts to create the perfect project plan. These things that sneak up on you are known in project management circles as unknown unknowns. But there is hope. Project managers commonly manage the project against these things by using a crystal ball. No, not really. I'm just kidding. They allocate contingency against such risks. But how much do you allocate? Consider the familiarity you have with the job. Have you done it before, or is it a first of a kind? You would likely allocate more contingency for a first of a kind job and less for a job that's been performed many times. Contingency decisions also include consideration of the contract structure and the awards, if any, for early completion or finishing under budget. This takes us back to the scales, where we weigh a higher risk against a higher reward. Will you accept more risk because the rewards are so great, or do you play it safe? This is another decision customized to the team and the combination of your team's experience, risk tolerance, and outlook on the work. So now you're learning how to navigate this crazy project world that wants to send your project careening into the land of over budget and behind schedule. In this uncertain world, it's easy to stumble and fall, but now you've learned a few things that'll help you on your next project to cross over from scary to sunny. Risk management can help your team spot the volcano and navigate an alternate path. We all know that risk management is not a be-all, end-all skill. There are 9 areas of project management, of which risk management is only one. But we have learned how to use risk management effectively for our projects. So what have we learned? We've gone through how to define likelihood and consequence for our team, generate ideas that decrease the likelihood or consequence of the risk, weigh the application of these ideas against the project needs, and understand the use of contingency in project risk management. Now your team should be ready to identify, sort, categorize, and manage your risks to take another step towards the sunny side of the street.